何？お前はもう死んでいる。
It's the final countdown.
I'm so alone! You would only be putting me out of my misery, you wouldn't be...